If you're in high ticket sales and you've noticed that prospects are more skeptical, they're less willing to one call close, they want to do more research, they want to think about it more. It is because of the 2026 selling transition. And what is that transition? That is the introduction of AI. That is the overuse of the internet. It is the information boom, essentially. We're also just selling regular courses just doesn't work anymore because people feel that information is so accessible. So it makes you more so sometimes feel like a commodity to people or something where you don't really have all the information that they need. And that's where you needing to prove that comes in. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how to separate yourself from those people by using expertise selling. And expertise selling is essentially going to allow you to position yourself as the authority. Why listen to me? The reason you should listen to me is I've helped multiple sales reps develop this to where they can make as much money as they want. They can be 5-figure a month earners, but also I've been in a place myself where I went from making at my lowest check $299 to, as you can see here, the big numbers that I've been able to. So in no way am I saying that you're going to be able to make this money with this. I'm just saying this is the stuff that I've done to get to the place that I have. So hopefully it can help you too. Now, if you want help with this or you're just wanting help and don't know where to go, realistically, you can join my free school community. There's a ton of information in there. But also we do 4 group coaching calls a week that you can join. You'll be able to see my live sales calls as well and a ton of documents that you can use to improve yourself in sales, expertise selling. How I define it is being able to transfer certainty that you know more than they ever could. It's establishing that actual gap because when you're speaking to a doctor, you never question what the actual doctor's saying if they sound confident about it. When people say things with conviction and they sound like they're extremely confident about it, you just usually tend to believe them. Where would this expertise selling actually be used? Where it'll be used is everywhere. So discovery, pitch, objections, and follow-up. So it's establishing yourself as the authority throughout all of these and maintaining that presence as well. Now we'll go about how each piece will apply here and how to actually use expertise selling in each of these parts. But what we first need to understand is what happens without expertise selling. So what usually happens is you become another high pressure sales rep. You're just another sales rep trying to push people with questions and ask high pressure questions because you don't have the intellect to actually ask questions on a deeper level whatsoever, or ask the questions or even probe properly. So past being a high pressure sales rep, if a prospect even slightly solution aware, your questioning is limited as well because you know nothing about your solution. You barely know anything about your offer. All you know how to do is ask emotional probing questions. Then again, prospects are going to trust you far less than the guy that can ask the required questions to really kind of create gaps or logic gaps in what they're saying, what they're doing, to show them what makes sense and what doesn't as well. Like if somebody can completely diagnose your problem and ask you questions to help you come to a conclusion that something's not going to work and why it's not going to work, that is great. The other person can only ask you emotional things about your commitment level and why you need to change and all that stuff. It's like, great, that emotional pressure is only going to last so long. But when it comes to actually making the decision, there's no logic to actually justify it. So there's no real gap that you've created. You've just created kind of a void of emotion with no logic to justify the void as well. So past that point, your discovery and pitch are always going to be surface level. Your discovery is not going to be targeted enough or logical enough for them to say, I really do need to change this. Like logically, there's no logical reason that I keep going down this path, but also your pitch can never be fully tailored in a way where it seems like you really understand their problem or exactly what they need as well. Because again, you don't understand them. You don't understand what problem you're solving in the first place. You could hear a bunch of symptoms and then try and solve the symptoms, but never understand what the actual root cause is because you don't understand your offer. Past that, and really the last piece is your income is going to be capped because you only know how to read a script. You only know how to read a script. You don't know how to think outside of the script or anything. So if anything happens off script, you don't have any way to ask the questions you need to create the gap there and then redirect back onto your script. It's just, oh, well, that's off the script. I don't know anything about that. Got to continue. So it's obviously not going to be helpful or kind of, oh, we blurred out. It's obviously not going to be helpful or conducive to the conversation because you are lacking the intellect or the knowledge. So as you can see here, a big issue is lacking intellect or knowledge around your offer or what your offer does, who it serves, because if you don't understand these things, it's almost impossible for you to be good at your job or efficient at your job at a very high level. So you either have to take a lot of time to learn and understand the people you're working with, or you can shortcut this with what I'm going to teach you in this video. So keep watching. Why does this happen? This happens because you end up thinking that emotional probing and like, state management and your identity is like all this stuff is going to overcome your lack of expertise or your lack of knowledge around your offer. You have to have knowledge and expertise around the offer. It is an extra edge. Yes, you can do really well with just emotional selling, but you're going to end up burning yourself out. And also, you end up doing a lot more work compared to allowing the prospect to do the work and come to the conclusions that they need to come to. Would you rather put in a ton of emotionally taxing work trying to get someone to, emotionally commit to something, or logically make it make sense first? Logically show them the gaps, the suffering that they're going through, what they're going to incur logically, and then put them in a place where now emotionally they need to commit to changing that logical problem. That's probably what would make the most sense. But a lot of people, they completely brush off logic and it's all emotional, it's all consequence. Like that's all they have in their pocket. And you don't want to be a one trick pony in that way, because it becomes very emotionally draining and it's hard to sustain it's hard to sustain things as well. And also your discoveries, they can feel not surface level to you, but I promise you they. So either way, how do you actually fix this? So what I want you to do in terms of fixing this, I want you to take your deliverables, the Trustpilot reviews, 10 to 30 calls, copy and paste them into Claude or ChatGPT, and then tell it to search Reddit and the internet for your ICP in terms of your ideal client profile, their common pains, problems, and symptoms, and then create a research document so you can understand each one. So just do exactly that. Like that's literally exactly what you need to do. And if you do that, essentially what it'll do is it'll create a document to help you understand the pains, the symptoms, the way that these people will speak. So this, when I say symptoms, they'll say one thing, but that's what it'll tell you what this thing really means in terms of the actual root cause of the problem. So if you have that level of understanding always going into the offer, your expertise is going to be completely different, and your ability to sell on the offer and understand the prospect is going to be very different as well, which allows you to do what? Ask better questions. So your questioning is automatically going to be better because you have a deeper understanding. All the bullshit like shallow answers, you can push past those because you know it's BS. Anything that's not lining up, where there's this, you understand how to call it out because now that does not make sense. So you understand how to get clarity because you start understanding these things. So this is step one. To get a research document, this research document will list out everything you need to know about these people. So now you have an official knowledge bank. So past the knowledge bank, I want you to read this document each morning before your calls, or just one section of it, take quizzes on it and put the research document, on Quizlet if you need to. Take quizzes on it so you understand these people. Truthfully, as soon as you get on an offer, right? If you were to take 10, 15 minutes a day to just, I'm going to do a quiz really quick to make sure I thoroughly understand this offer, what's happening within it. You are going to put yourself so far ahead of the other people. I know this sounds so simple and like, oh, wow, like expertise, cool, great, man. But genuinely, it will make a difference in the way that you sell, coming across as an expert in this way, because people will feel that they can finally trust you. They will feel that they can finally let their guard down because they're around someone that's an expert. It doesn't need to be the founder on the call for them to let their guard down. Now they can do it with you because you are a representative of them. And also through the knowledge and the expertise that you show, genuinely, they can feel these people take this serious. They really know their stuff. You want to appear with high status. So if you want to appear with high status, put in the work to do this. Takes you 10 or 15 minutes each. So now, implement in real calls. So whether you, when I say implement in real calls, whenever you diagnose the real problem and look for confirmation, the prospect should feel extremely understood. So if this is in your discovery, well, it sounds like you're dealing with a little bit of this and this. And then when you notice that, is this happening? And so that is happening. So what are you feeling there? Like, for example, I was on a mobility offer, and I mean, they pretty much ripped everything from me, but basically I was using a more clinical form of selling when everybody else was more so selling kind of like a coaching program. I used a lot more of a clinical approach where I was like a doctor on the calls as well, to where I would diagnose them. Now it was still a sales call. I still ran consequence. I still ran commitment and had emotional phases, but the logical piece of the discovery was a little bit longer because you're competing with people who are talking to physical therapists, doctors, people like this. You have to up your status. The same thing goes for anything else, but a lot of people don't apply it there to like financial ROI offers. If you're on a financial ROI offer, if you immerse yourself in understanding what you're selling, you will do a lot better. I promise you. So using it in discovery is amazing. Using it in your pitch is even better. So what I want you to do, and I'll kind of dig on this a little bit more, is when I say implement in real sales calls, you implement it in your pitch, in your discovery. So you want to show expertise in discovery. That doesn't mean you're talking the entire time. Maybe talk for a minute max, like if you're going to talk about something, but regardless, you shouldn't need to most of it. So Use it in discovery, use it in pitch. Your pitch should be highly tailored at this point to where when you have the expertise, your three pillars should be very specific to exactly what this person needs to solve it and why. So a common framework that I like to use for you guys, and that could be, really helpful here. And I'm gonna draw it on the iPad, is something like this where it's like, let me grab this here. I'll just do this. So you go through the problem first. So you'll go problem, you'll go consequence, you'll go changes needed, and then past changes needed, you'll go feature. So this is the problem, and then this is the consequence, and then these are the changes needed. So what that means is so pillar one is going to be knowledge. And the reason that we start with knowledge is because when you don't have knowledge, generally this is what happens. So when you don't have knowledge, this is what happens. And then you go to consequence. So you say the problem is that you don't have this thing. So you don't have the knowledge needed. And then what happens when you don't have the knowledge needed is consequence. So what we need to change is this, and how we do that is this. That is a really great framework. So you don't need like a script, but that gives you a framework. The problem is that you don't have knowledge. So the reason you not having knowledge is a problem is because what's going to happen is this consequence. So what we need to change is this aspect, and how we're going to change that is this feature. Every single piece is connected, so it's directly connected to them. And these cool. Does that make sense? Great. Yes. Wonderful. How do you see that helping most? Something like that. Wonderful. Then you go to the second piece, and the second piece is execution. Because if you have knowledge but you don't have the execution, what's going to happen is once you get in, blah, 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 blah. So then you just connect each and every single piece until you have all three pillars done with your expertise added in. Hope that makes sense. If you need more help on the expertise selling, again, join the community. I help with it there. So then at that point, how can you use this for follow-up? Because I said you can use this for discovery, pitch, objections, follow-up. Objections, that's pretty obvious. You just quite literally can ask them. If you don't know how to do XYZ, how are you going to be able to solve this on your own? It's just like really simple stuff like that. You just want to throw expertise in wherever you. So the last piece is for follow-up. It is very, very helpful, but it's helpful in a way where you use AI with. So what you'll do is you'll take a snippet of the call. So you'll have a call. So let's say you have a sales call. You're going to want to take let's say you use Fathom, take the Fathom and then put it into the AI, and then do this. So take the Fathom, put it into the AI, and have it create a research study in ChatGPT or Claude with your research document that you made, this document that you made here to essentially give you all the information you need. And I need you to create a research document that's good for follow-up that would kind of scare this person a little bit. Like genuinely, that's what you're doing. Don't make it you have to be like, don't make it cringe, don't make it corny, but it needs to scare them a little bit to where this is a concern. And it's like a research study where it's like, oh, we noticed that XYZ percentage of these people dealing with this problem usually end up in this place or something like that. And it's like, what you'll do is just like, hey, just saw this really scary research document, wanted to send it your way. Let me know what you think. And it can include a little bit of value. It can have testimonials. It can have whatever you want on it. But the thing is like this research document is going to be explicitly tied to them. And it's a great use of AI to be able to specifically tied to their problem. And it's like, hey, read out this research document that we actually just did. You need to check this out. Like, this is concerning. And then at that point, they'll read it, they'll check it out. And if it's directly applicable to them, they'll read the whole entire thing and it could result in a sale for you. But it's great for follow-up. So these are a few examples, a few tidbits of ways that I could help you. Obviously, if you want deeper help, again, join the community. But I wish you the best. Hope the video was helpful. If it was, or you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section and I'll respond. If not, I'm sorry. Hopefully this was helpful though. And I hope that expertise selling can be very useful for you. Wish you the best.